Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Freedom Planet playthrough, and we now get to meet the best character in the game. Not you, Serpentine. You're terrible. I don't like Serpentine much. I don't really know why.
He's just a generic lackey, really.
He's got an asshole face.
His most valuable contribution to the story is in Final Dreadnought, where he gives you some foreshadowing that you retroactively will understand as being the first hint of what will happen to Mila at the end. But, you know, he's just kind of there, except for that.
Yeah, he's basically just there to be a lackey for Brevin. That's really the only thing. Mayor Zhao, I do think, is the best comic relief character in the game, though.
Mayor Zhao is excellent. His sprite work is amazing.
Where's his Okay, so, I'm not the only one who sees Ken Penders with the generic soldiers, right?
What? What?
I'm not the only one who sees Ken Penders art on the generic soldiers.
No, there's not enough. There's not enough kneecaps. And elongated design.
And weird facial features.
There are times where the generic soldiers are a good example, where the color work is a bit flat, and instead of reminding
I never noticed that one of them, the one on the right, had like big bug eyes when he went when he did the confetti. Oh wow.
Yeah. There are times where, with a minor character particularly, you don't really see it on the main characters down here, but with these generic soldiers, you see the color work is kind of Microsoft Paint levels of flat in places. That kind of color work reminds me less of a 16-bit platformer and more of a DOS game, like Jill of the Jungle or something. Well, that's selling it a little short, to be honest, but you get the point. That's something a lot of old PC games did, whereas the most memorable 16-bit games had a lot more depth to their colors.
So there's this one screenshot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Yugi is standing in the middle of a crowd of generic brown-haired boys. And
guess the main character.
Guess who the main character
Yeah, that's been a game in anime for years.
Plot dump. Yeah, so this scene is like, okay, we're just gonna dump all the backstory about the dragons here, because there was nowhere else
The
to put
Durgans.
it.
Yeah.
Also, why Torque is sitting so far away from his friends, I have no idea, but whatever.
I don't know either. I think they
Cooties.
were going for a kind of a distance thing, since, you know, the three girls have this kind of budding friendship going on, and Torque is still worried about getting them involved. But, you know, I think it would have been a little less awkward if they had just moved the girls over by one chair. so they're a little closer, but, you know, a little bit of distance. It's just a little... They're laying it on a bit thick here. It looks like...
Could you pass the butter? What? Could you pass the butter?
Hold on, I'm gonna need to throw it football style. Go long!
It kind of looks like they put the girls far away in this table arrangement more to use as much of the screen space as they could than for any character development reasons. So.
Maybe they thought that originally having the characters all close to each other put less emphasis on the dragon head behind them.
Maybe.
Well, it would make more... But it bothers me, because the dragon head isn't in the middle of Torque and the girls. It needs to be moved over like one chair, and then it'll be fine. It's off center. This game's terrible. 0 out of 10.
I do like that our big you know, world building dump is coming courtesy of the dumbest character in the game, though.
You see, it's one of those things where Mayor Zhao is generally a friendly character, but we tend to forget that at the very beginning of the game, he drove a truck through the front palace of the other kingdom. So that's pretty antagonistic, and the game just kind of forgets that he did that. And
He's just playing at being stupid.
Nah, Mayor Zhao is the hothead of the kingdom's leaders, so...
Yeah, the idea is that Brevin is manipulating them all to fight each other, but, you know, like, there's still never, like, any reason for why he did that. Like, there wasn't any direct conflict before that, if I remember correctly. I don't really remember.
Well, the Kingdom Stone was starting to run out of power, essentially,
Yeah, but nobody had made the first... That was the first move made, though, if I remember correctly.
But Mayor Zhao was goaded into doing what he was doing, and they were very bad at emphasizing this, by Spade, who was trying to get the Kingdom Stone for Dail, who was claiming that he needed it to find his father's killer. So the whole subplot with Dail and Spade is that Spade was manipulated by Dail, who was being mind controlled by Brevin, to get these kingdoms fighting, so that Brevin could steal the Kingdom Stone without anyone knowing that he was involved, essentially.
Yeah, there's you see the missing thing there is that the Dail and Spade subplot is so it's not really elaborated on ever. Like you don't even find out that they're brothers. You don't find out that they're brothers until like 2/3 of the way through the story, if I remember correctly.
Well, I think Dail says a throwaway line about his brother making a move right before Fortune Night starts, and Fortune Night starts with Brevin and whatever kingdom Dail runs, I forget the name of it again, invading Mayor Zhao's kingdom, which I also forget the name of. God damn it.
Either way, it's all very wishy-washy and thrown away. So.
Yeah, honestly, like, again, a lot of this, the plot is a little bit messy, I think. A little bit is being a little kind.
It's messy. It has enough charm and you know, interesting stuff going on in there that you can sort of forgive it its warts, but, you know.
I'm hoping that the sequel is, since it seems to be less about the politics involved with Three Kingdoms and whatnot, will be a little bit more straightforward, and so the characters will get to shine a little bit more there, I think, because the plot is basically that Brevin's back in space and you're gonna go fight him and stuff, was the plot summary for 2.
Wait, he's still alive?
I believe so. I believe it was heavily implied
that
he's
I think
still
it was always implied that he's still alive.
His body wasn't found, so he's not dead.
Yeah, you know how it works.
Yeah. So, like, I think there's less going on in terms of moving parts in the sequel from what I've seen. Like, obviously, we'll need to play it. So, it can be more about the characters and their adventure than needing to follow 50,000 moving threads.
Maybe.
Yeah, more about the characters, less about the world they're in.
Yeah. I do love I do love the attempt at world building, though. I appreciate that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a case where I kind of feel like I'd rather them try again and do it better than backpedal away from things.
Oh, man, I completely forgot about that line. There are other worlds out there. Fuck me, man. I don't need to be reminded of Kingdom Hearts now.
Well, you know, I think that they could do, like, I think, they are going to space, right? I'm not just making that up out of nowhere.
Oh, we're going to meet Jason X and all the other spin-offs that eventually go to...
Yeah, because I don't want to be saying something that's wrong. Like, I'm sure the comment section has already corrected me, but, like, I think I remember reading that somewhere. But they can do more with it can still have the same sense of scope, I think, like, because, like, Torque's a part of this, like, super secret space police thing, if I remember
correctly. Why
is
there space police?
Dude, you're the DC fan. You know why there's space police. Because
no, I meant in this one. I'm not saying he's actually part of the space police.
Well,
otherwise, he'd be a Green Lantern.
I don't necessarily think it was space police. I think it was a military thing where they were part of an allied coalition against Brevin's conquest, and they wound up breaking their own rules and shooting him down above an inhabited planet, which is why this whole situation came about.
Is Mila wearing a sweatshirt?
Mila's wearing these kind of street girl rags.
Oh, okay. Because, like, I always thought that she just wasn't wearing clothes and just had fur instead. But I'm only just now
she's
looking
got
at
this
her
kind of
right.
ragged outfit going on. The idea being that she's lived in the forest since she was very young.
Okay.
Which is what this conversation was actually about, in fact.
You know, it's actually one of those things where when I was playing the game again as Carol, I had to be very careful about which cutscenes I skipped because I wasn't watching the whole thing again. But I wanted to see the Carol exclusive cutscenes, so I needed to like stop, watch a little bit, make sure that it's not new, and then skip, and then go to the next one. But,
yeah, it's a thing.
I can't blame you.
It's a thing that happens. There aren't that many unique cutscenes per character.
Yeah, there's only a handful. But
there are also a few scenes where it looks like it's a character-exclusive cutscene from one person's angle, but then the cutscene might have an extra little bit to it as another character.
Little nuances here and there.
It's you know, it's just one of those things where I believe there's like 3-4 hours of cutscenes total.
It's also weird because there's like there are a couple unique cutscenes that have all the characters there anyway. Like the line about cooties in the treehouse, I think is Carol only. And I have no idea why, because Lilac is there.
I'm just gonna pretend you didn't say that, and that's why it doesn't play.
So anyway, how do you guys like Flying Battery Zone?
Well, no, calling this Flying Battery Zone is selling it short. I actually really like Sky Battalion. It's also the least fatiguing level in the game, because it's actually relatively short, and it's broken into...
Wow.
Broken into little chunks. Yeah, I didn't manage to get the bonus token.
No, you can go back and get it. Just go left and
go back.
around.
Yeah, it's just like
I would do
you
it.
went out of your way to go for it and you miss it.
I believe you can do certain sections out in any order you want in this level as well. Now,
I actually wanted to go back and get that, but then I got caught by the stupid cross thing, and well,
looks like someone's not getting that. Looks like someone's not getting that emerald in advance too.
One of my favorite things about this level is that the level gimmick for certain parts of it, the wind that blows straight upward, is a level gimmick that interacts with your character abilities differently. For Carol, you can do the wall cling thing, and you'll actually get blown up the wall. For Lilac, you do the dragon cyclone, and you'll fly upward. It's very exhilarating.
Those lasers suck. Can I just say?
Oh, the woo woo woo! Yeah, they're all throughout the late parts of the game, and they do a lot of damage.
Yeah, you have no invincibility frames getting hit with those.
Yeah, I believe it's like that's the one thing you can get stun locked and lose like half your health very easily in Freedom Planet. This is in some attack. Well, it's less of a problem in the later bosses, but that's just because single attacks will do 2 leaves of damage anyway. So you know, getting
and also knock you back.
Yeah, so. It's one of those things where I think those lasers, like, each hit will only do half a leaf of damage, but you're gonna get hit like 6 times. So
one thing that I can't get over is that the 1-ups, they're like little jumping chow heads of the character. They're like actual animal heads of the characters. I'm like, what?
What happened?
Now, there is an achievement for flying so high off the front of the ship when you finish a section in this level that you actually cross the border of the level without needing the plane.
Oh, shit.
Which
and away you go.
See you in hell.
You see, that's actually very rare in this game to fall into a bottomless pit. There's like outside of this level, and even then you're inside the ships for most of it, so they're not there that much. I think there's like maybe 1 or 2 bottomless pits in the entire game. From what
most of the bottomless pits are in Final Dreadnought.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there are some in there. Yeah, but
it's really cool. But we'll get to that when we get to Final Dreadnought. For as fatiguing as that part of the game is, I actually really like what it does with some of the level designs and with Brevin's presence there.
It would be a great level if it wasn't 4 levels long.
Yeah. It's an entire game of itself.
Yeah.
I can feel that way at times. Yeah.
Well, they were obviously going for some sort of Wily's Fortress sort of feeling with the multi-tiered Brevin's Dreadnought, but it kind of doesn't mesh with the Sonic element again.
Well, it's a callback to Metropolis Zone, which was also too long.
I think the idea can work no matter what gameplay style you're using. It's so long.
Yeah, I'm saying it's more like the way it's designed in its current state doesn't mesh with the Sonic elements of the game in particular. In fact, most of the game's design elements that don't mesh well specifically because of the pace the Sonic elements bring to the proceedings. Like, I don't think we'd care so much about the long cutscenes if the gameplay itself were a bit slower paced on its own. But...
yeah, that's a good point, because generally speaking, most Sonic cutscenes aren't that long for the most part. Like, I think
ending cutscenes notwithstanding, but
yeah, like I think the longest cutscene in a Sonic game that I can think of off the top of my head is the cutscene at the beginning of the last story in Sonic Adventure 2, and that's a lot of plot dump, and it's like again the very end of the game, and it's before the longest level in the game as well. I'm struggling to think of anything, and that's only like about 5 minutes too. So that's
I guess going into last story for Adventure 1, if you want to count those little just basic running sections. Gameplay.
Oh yeah, because you're just walking. There's nothing. You're not doing anything there as well, either. So yeah, I guess that could work. Like not like running from the Master Emerald back to Station Square's fun anyway. So there's also Metal Sonic transforming, which takes about an hour.
I'm surprised they managed to get it that long.
But yeah, pacing is a thing. Like, I say that I find Freedom Planet a bit fatiguing, especially in the latter half of the game, where the boss fights take more time, or more attempts, and the levels drag on longer because of the combined acts sort of structure thing that it has going. And a lot of this is just because of the type of game that it kind of sort of is trying to be at the same time. It's a case where these are elements that could all be pretty damn good, but it doesn't necessarily mix as well as it would like to.
It's one of those things where people people sometimes consider Shovel Knight levels fatiguing because they are pretty long, all things considered, but it's a different gameplay style, so it's not as prominent there, I guess.
I think the difference is also that Shovel Knight also has tons more checkpoints.
Yeah, that's true. Like, you move through the levels faster here. But, one thing I do appreciate, though, is that this game basically has unlimited lives it continues. So I don't know why there's a life counter to begin with, because it doesn't matter. You have unlimited continues.
I think the life counter is there specifically for your crystal score. By the way, this is an achievement. If you stand on this ledge up here, Spade won't do anything. And then their voice clips start, going back and forth with each other. Spade gets really impatient.
You can jump as high as you can, just jump up and hit him.
He can jump as high as I can, but he doesn't have the dragon dash. So he can't get up here.
You're not the coolest.
No, I'm the highest.
Oh yeah, highest.
So how long do you have to stand up here for the achievement?
I don't know, which is why I stand up here for a little bit too long, but you don't necessarily need to stay up here as long as I did.
You were probably waiting for the achievement to pop up for the PS4 achievement.
No, the achievements on the PS4 version aren't don't directly correlate to the badges the way they do in the PC version. It's weird. I get the feeling that Sony was like, no, this is a dinky little $15 game. We can't give it a full complement of trophies. It has to be 12 trophies and no platinum. So instead, they give you these little trophies.
Platinum.
Instead, they give you these little trophies that are basically you got so many badges in game trophies, and so there's like starter pants for getting your first one, hero pants for getting 5, and on and on and on until you get the heroic pants of freedom.
Okay, that's a little lame the way that they did it for PS4, but
Now, there's this apparent agreement, but that the $15 downloadable only game shouldn't have as many trophies as the $60 full size.
Yeah, but that's dumb.
It's dumb, yes. It also implies that there's somehow more importance to playing one kind of video game with your free time than another.
I think the funniest thing about it, though, is I believe for Undertale, the game doesn't have achievements at all on PC. But for PS4, they needed to have achievements, so I believe the achievements are just like get up 4 items, and then you get all of them instantly.
Walk right.
Yeah.
Press start on the title screen.
That was a joke. That was a joke in the Deadpool video game.
Yes, it was.
For the record, where you get 3 achievements right at the beginning of the game for free.
One problem I have with the game that I wish it was elaborate on a little more are the shields, because they all do different things, but it's not quite as obvious as, say, the elemental shield in Sonic.
It's weird too, because in the beta version of the game, the crystals that you broke to get the shields all had icons on them that made it more obvious what they do.
So some of them are more obvious than others. Like the one that does that, like kind of scatters flower petals everywhere, gives you more health. But there's some of them where...
Well, it doesn't give you more health. What it does is it magnetizes health to you. And then there's the electric shield, which magnetizes crystals to you, like the electric shield from Sonic. But then there's the metal shield. What does the metal shield do?
I think it actually protects you from spikes. Yeah, that was something I found out by complete accident. I believe there's a lava shield for lava, there's a bubble shield for water, basically just like Sonic. That would kill you in Sonic, for the record, too.
Well, there are crushers in the game that will kill you instantly, but the game usually makes instant kill obstacles larger.
But yeah, I agree. It's not always obvious, because like if I had known that the metal shield blocked spikes, I would have abused that to hell and back a lot more, and I didn't. Basically, I don't think there's even like an in-game instruction book that explains it, like no downloadable manual or anything like that. I had to look it up on game FAQs. So, yeah, a little bit more elaboration. Like, again, it's not something that needs to be directly in your face, but at least something you could read optionally in the options menu.
Yes.
Something you could read in the options menu, or even just a decent downloadable guide, like, you know, would be helpful. It's a minor thing, but it's there. I do not remember this boss fight at all.
It's pretty forgettable.
Well, I think, I'm not sure. It depends on what quadrant of the ship you go into, but I think Shade is always in the, what was it, the fire part of the ship? Or whatever section of the stage you went through. Because Shade is usually the last thing I fight. I mean Spade. For fuck's sake, I'm saying it now too.
You've just been playing too much Sonic Chronicles, John.
Maybe.
So, yeah. Okay, I thought you were dead.
I like Lilac's "oh shit, I gotta stop" animation. She just has this look on her face. It's like, what?
Dale gets his own boss theme, which again makes me. This character is very underutilized, unfortunately. Because I do think that this could be a good like tragic villain kind of thing where you're supposed to feel bad for him, but I don't think the characters find out he's being brainwashed until like the very end of the story. So, you know, like, so much for drama.
And even then, do you even snap him out of it? I think you just knock him unconscious.
I think it's implied that he's better at the end of the game.
Well, something happens with Spade at the end. So
who are you?
It's implied that it's implied that it gets fixed in his story somewhere, but we don't have his story yet. So it's kind of like the Final Fantasy 15 episode Ignis situation.
Do you think that the Freedom Planet 1 character stories will be done before Freedom Planet 2 comes out? Because they're essentially working on, well, I'll say 3 separate games, because Torque and, like, the different playable styles in this are basically their own game in and of themselves, so...
Yeah, they're working on additional stuff for Freedom Planet 1 at the same time that they're doing the sequel, which is refreshing after seeing Shovel Knight's developer spend so much time on that one game, but...
Yeah.
At the same time, it means, like... I'm wondering how interested people will be in playing more Freedom Planet 1 after Freedom Planet 2 is already out.
Yeah.
Assuming Torque is not something you can play as Freedom Planet 2, I would say it's still pretty substantial.
Yeah, well, you know, I would think that they'd try to eventually bring all the characters, or at least some of them, from 1 into 2. Because they brought the 3 main ones into 2, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, if Torque is not even in the completed build yet, I don't think it's a good idea to bring him into both 1 and 2, because you're giving people little incentive to even play for 1.
Yeah, true. Especially since it's a free update as well, right? You don't have to pay DLC for these characters, even. Oh, I never noticed that the sprite work on the wings for the Phoenix is kind of not exactly mode 70, but like they're different sprites. That's cool. I like that effect.
Yeah, it's that 32-bit kind of trick that they did there.
Yeah. This is a gorgeous game, for the record.
Yeah. Well, the Freedom Planet 2 sprite work makes this look like garbage by comparison, which is more a compliment to Freedom Planet 2 than a strike against this game. Anyway, the airship crashed, and then, well, wasn't the only thing that crashed.
Oh, fuck.
Did you have to play the entire level all over again?
No, the save point is at the beginning of the cutscene, which is thankful, but yeah.
Damn you, Dale! Damn you!
And it was telling me, update the game,
Cloud.
update the system, man.
Oh.
But, well...
I appreciate it. You know, I don't know why. I just find Aerith's piano theme playing in the background to be oddly appropriate. Because, yeah, it was the equivalent of Dale taking Masamune and stabbing you in the spine.